Have you ever seen something from the corner of your eye that wasn't there when you looked again? How about hearing from a friend of a friend that while they were hiking somewhere, they thought they saw something impossible? But when they spoke to, say, a park ranger, there was always a simple explanation that left you a little bit unsatisfied. My name is Jack, and this is my colleague Chris, and we're Senior Wardens of the Creature Conservation Initiative. We protect the world from the creatures of superstition and myth, but more importantly, protect those same creatures from the world. Well, hello there, people. How are you doing? I hope you've enjoyed yourself. It's been a couple of weeks since we've seen you, and I am here with my good friend and colleague, Chris. How are you doing, Chris?
Hello, Jack. I'm doing fantastic. I'm so honored to be here. This is my favorite podcast, and I'm very excited to get into it.
Is it your favourite podcast on the Citadel?
It is.
Deep cut?
Do I get a discount now?
Yeah, on absolutely nothing.
Great. I love nothing.
I'm used to nothing. So.
Oh, jeez. Off to a great start.
Yeah, a bit of self-deprecating humour.
What are we doing today, Jack?
Well, today we are going to be talking about a relatively kind of peaceful creature for once. It's been a while.
It is.
Yeah, we don't get to talk about many creatures that just exist and just kind of leave us alone as long as we leave them alone. Especially recently.
That's what I say about wasps, but I never believed that.
Well, I mean, wasps are just the most dangerous creature that's ever existed, if I'm perfectly honest. And even the Leviathan gives wasps a wide berth. Why do you think it stays in the sea?
Yeah, checks out.
Totally legit.
Yeah, definitely. Everything we say is the truth, always.
Always, 100%, we never lie. Today we are here talking about a creature called the Makara.
Isn't that a kind of parrot?
No, that's a macaw.
Ah, well, close enough, I guess.
Not really, but okay. Yeah, we'll go with that.
I'm imagining something very colorful, very feathery, friendly, with a surprisingly sharp beak.
I think you're quite far off the mark, actually.
Well, I never.
I mean, to start off with, it's from Hindu mythology.
Okay.
Or at least that's where we know of the Makara from. And it is the equivalent of the zodiac sign of Capricorn.
Okay, I am slightly confused, but go on. I'm not sure how astrology comes into this, but I'll hear it out.
In Hindu mythology, it is seen as part of the Hindu astrology, and that's kind of why it's the equivalent of the zodiac sign for Capricorn.
Ah, I see.
Can you remember what Capricorn is?
Not really.
Capricorn is basically Greek for horned goats, and is sometimes seen as basically like a goat from the top half up, and then some form of like sea creature below. And that's kind of why the Makara is likened to Capricorn, because, again, in Hindu mythology, the Makara is the vehicle of the river goddess Ganga, Narmada, and god of the ocean Varuna.
I think I've actually heard of Varuna somewhere, but the other ones, I'm drawing a blank.
It's a moving vehicle creature, or at least that's what it is in Hindu mythology.
Okay, so we're talking about a car then.
The equivalent of one.
Great. So stay tuned for next week's episode about the Volkswagen. I don't know why I did an English accent on that one, but we'll just gloss over that.
It's even funnier hearing a German say it in that way.
I'm so ashamed of my own accent. I'm faking another one. Anyway, let's move on.
And you chose English? Why?
I don't know. I panicked.
We'll work on that one.
I'm going to talk to my therapist.
It is a creature that is used by the Hindu gods essentially as a vehicle for moving around.
Okay.
Which I'm not surprised at. I mean, you've seen kind of like that Hindu Buddhism, they like to sit with cross-legged and kind of move around that way. Why not use a creature? If you're a god, why not use a creature to make you move around? Why not use one of them as you travel?
Why not? I mean, I always suspected that the Christian angels are, they have wheels for a reason. So, I think there's a common theme there.
Oh, they're a General Motor.
General.
All right, but yeah, they also, again, in Hindu mythology, they are also seen as kind of like gateway guardians, river guardians. They tend to protect thresholds and entries to temples, and it's probably one of the most commonly recurring kind of creatures in front of Hindu and Buddhist temples, along with things like the lion, which they're like, you'll tend to see them like gargoyles in front of these locations, or at least you'll see statues of them in front of these places. They are seen as protectors. They prevent evil spirits and convey the gods from A to B.
Sounds like a fulfilling life.
And they're seen as such kind of vital protectors that the Hindu deities like Shiva, Vishnu, Surya, and Chandi wear Makara-shaped earrings called Makara Kundalas as, again, their protectors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they gotta be capable then, I suppose. Mm-hmm.
And you can even find that the Makara is the insignia of the love goddess Kamadeva.
Okay.
So they are everywhere.
I have no idea who that is, but sounds impressive.
Neither do I.
Great.
Oh, we're great with religion.
It's time for the obligatory apology of the episode. We're not trying to offend everyone. We just, it's in our blood.
Yeah, we're just good at it.
Yeah. You gotta use the talents you have.
I love that. Okay. But yeah, and quite funnily enough, basically the name Makara is a Sanskrit word which means sea animal, crocodile. That fits quite nicely in with what they kind of look like, because there's in mythology, they kind of go through a range of looks. They are depicted as half terrestrial animal on the frontal part, so essentially if we were thinking the equivalent of humans, waist up. So they will go through a range of different creatures: stags, deers, elephants, just whatever is deemed necessary. And then the other half will be an aquatic animal. So a fish, a dolphin, a snake, sometimes a peacock, which I've always wondered. I know that sounds a bit strange, I'm talking about peacock and aquatic animals, but for some reason, a lot of the mythology seems to, when they talk about the fact that they look like a peacock behind, they seem to lump it in with aquatic animals. So I am just not messing around with that. Maybe over in India, peacocks are seen as aquatic animals. Maybe that's why there's not many peacocks there. They've all drowned. I don't know. I'm not messing around, and I'm definitely not trying to work that one out.
Well, the good thing is, if it has the peacock feathers, it looks a lot better when it dances. You know, the Macarena. Get it?
Oh, hey. Sorry. But they also look like, sometimes, as I've said already, crocodiles. They sometimes have the ears of a mouse or an ape. They have the extruding teeth of like a wild swine, pig, boar kind of look. And they sometimes have the feet of a lion. So, in general, in terms of the mythology itself, they are pretty much kind of whatever they need to be for the purpose.
Yeah, I mean, that checks out. If they are used as cars, it's just a new car model every other year. You know how that works.
the elephants are 4x4s. The peacocks are, for the ones that are just show offy.
Yeah.
The swine is for the car that's, got a problem with the gearbox, always squealing.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I'm basically in the mythology. I believe that they are very much based on whichever god they are serving at the time, rather than it being anything specific or anything necessary. More just what the god wants as their vehicle, and that's kind of in the mythology, kind of who they are. In real life, though, because remember, we're not just talking about mythology, we're talking about creatures we have had the fortunate timing to see recently. And
okay, that sounds very sincere.
Well, I have recently seen one.
Yeah, I'm excited.
After the Shore Laddies, they sent me towards India over recent weeks, which is why I'm a little bit tired and probably a little bit delirious.
Yeah.
But they sent me over towards India.
I thought that was normal.
Weeks, just to, well, sometimes they sent me over to India in recent weeks just to deal with a few of these creatures. But we'll get into that in a little while.
Mm.
But in real life, what you tend to find is that they usually are something akin to like an elephant crossed with a crocodile. That's the ones I've come across. There are colonies of them that exist here and there. I've never seen a god riding one, so can't really tell you about that part. But I mean, you're friends with Quetzalcoatl. Why don't you go tell him about them?
I'm gonna ask him. We have a weekly tea afternoon tea tomorrow.
You're gonna sell him a car.
Must be exhausting flying around all the time. How about steering you right on an elephant crocodile?
But in the real world, we tend to find that the ones I've come across, they tend to be that kind of like elephant crocodile hybrid kind of cross, and they do inhabit lakes and rivers, those kinds of areas. But they're quite peaceful creatures.
Okay.
They stay away from people. They don't want to interact with us very much. And they just kind of live their own lives. They very rarely, sometimes some people tend to come across them, but because they tend to be in kind of like that India, the Indian continent, that kind of area. So even over in Indonesia and Nepal and Sri Lanka and Tibet, they tend to stay away. Obviously, I know Tibet, we're talking a bit more eastern rather than in the Indian continent itself, but again, they are just in remote areas, and when people tend to come across them, they're usually revered in those parts of the world. So they tend to leave them alone, look after them, and keep their secrets. They're quite happy.
Sounds great for us.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Just for my mental image, if we're talking crocodile and elephant, which one do they take their size from? How scared do I have to be?
Bit more crocodile than elephant.
Okay, yeah.
But again, this could be just the ones I've seen. There are some other colonies. I haven't visited every single colony that we kind of oversee, so there's always the chance that there are a few of them that are a bit more like fish-like. But if you really, really, really want to see them, again, go to these Buddhist temples, go to these Hindu temples, you will find iconography of them, especially the big kind of statues out front as gate guardians. One of the other positive things about them is they are quite uniform in colour themselves. They don't have lots and lots of like flashy like markings or anything like that. So as a result, they actually do a lot of the time look quite statuesque themselves. Some of them are a little bit brighter than others, but it's very easy to mistake them for statues. So again, when on the few occasions when people tend to come across them, they leave them alone. They see it as a nice cultural looking thing. They will mix them up with actual statues and actual kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Sites. And as a result, they tend to look after themselves quite nicely.
Okay. So what you're saying is if I touch a statue, there's a non-zero chance that it bites my hand off.
Depends. Because the other thing about them from the mythology is they are seen, again, as protectors of innocence and defenders of good in their way.
Sure, but they're probably going to protect themselves, I suppose.
Of course. Chances are, if you get close to them, they'll move. So you're not going to be touching a statue and then all of a sudden, woohoo, gone. But yeah, they're just wonderful little creatures. And that's why me going to see them actually made me a little bit sad. Since when I was there, a bunch of, well, pretty much just tourists over in Nepal they'd just come across a bunch of them, and they were taking photos and posting them all over social media and encouraging people to come into the area. And a few people started moving into it, and then poachers turned up.
Of course. The only thing worse than tourists.
Well, problem is, when these kind of creatures appear out of nowhere, when do poachers not turn up?
Yeah, that's the sad truth. They are everywhere.
But yeah, so they started trying to capture these creatures, and the full intention was to sell them. Luckily, because we do know where the colonies are, or at least we're pretty sure we know where all of the colonies are.
Okay.
Who knows? Again, there could be a colony that we've not come across that's just actually remained hidden for so long.
Sure.
But the one in Nepal, we knew about it, and we have rangers. We have people who walk the perimeter, protect the area, and like I say, with these creatures, because most of the time when tourists start to see them, or when people start to see them, they tend to revere them, leave them, let them live, and just enjoy this wonderful sighting. The rangers tend to, come along, they'll talk with the people, and they'll move them on gently, which is what happened with the tourists that took the photos. Problem is, the rangers, they missed the fact that they had taken the photos and that they were going to be putting them on social media.
Okay, yeah.
We tend to try and avoid that with these creatures, again, because they are peaceful. They don't fight back themselves. It's not like it's not like some of the other creatures we've spoken about, like the Leshy or something like that, which will actively chase or fight back, or the Minotaur or the Basilisk, that are dangerous to people. They are very peaceful. They may bite you, but they're not very fast creatures.
Yeah.
They live life at a leisurely pace.
My kind of creature.
And when the photos started hitting social media and poachers started moving into the area, our rangers were a little bit overwhelmed, because we are talking groups of 2-3 rangers that move around the area. So they very, very quickly called for some form of assistance, which I was dealing with the shore laddies at the time, coming towards the end of that job.
Yeah.
So they tasked me with taking basically a peacekeeping team.
Okay.
Do we really call them peacekeeping teams? I'm never sure, really.
I don't know. I think they have a new name every month.
Yeah, probably. We're just trying, it's PR stuff.
Yeah.
It's essentially our law enforcement groups. So the rangers are park rangers, move around, protect the area, try and get people out of the way and try and protect in that manner.
Yeah.
And we have our law enforcement kind of sides who, for want of a better word, we impersonate local law enforcement.
For legal reasons, we do not impersonate law enforcement.
No, we work incredibly closely with their law enforcement,
Yes.
and it gives us the authority of whichever country's law enforcement we are in.
We work so closely, it's almost like we're the same people.
Well, as we said already in the past, we have contacts with people in pretty much every location who can help us here and there. And so I took a team of... actually, it was a very, very large team. It was about 20 wardens, which is not doesn't happen very often, really, does it?
Yeah. Not really. It's not really necessary very often. Also, that's a big team to manage.
Yeah, it's because, and I'm assuming at some point you have dealt with poachers before when it comes to creatures.
Definitely. You can't really do this job without dealing with poachers.
Yeah, and sometimes they just get nasty. They go armed. Yeah. They are there to take creatures, and they are well aware that, if you encounter poachers in Africa or something like that, they're well aware that they might get shot by just general park rangers, not even people like us, not even wardens of the CCI. So we tend to go into these kind of situations very well prepared to protect ourselves and those around us. Luckily, in this case, when we turned up, it was a small group of about 15 poachers moving in groups, like 3 different groups, so there's only like 5 or 6 in a group.
Okay.
And we moved in, we swept them up very quickly. We moved in as a group of 10. 10 going from one side, 10 going from the other. Very, very fast. Brought them in. Took them into... initially we took them into local law enforcement locations.
Okay, yeah.
But what do you turn around and tell the local municipal governments when you've got all these criminals? Sorry, guys, they were trying to steal mythical creatures that you have never encountered in your entire life. So we...
It always works out well.
Exactly. Well, some of them had international kind of warrants, Interpol and things like that. So, under the auspices of international cooperation, we took them in. Mm-hmm. And then we took them to... genuinely, we actually did take most of them to Interpol.
Okay.
And handed them over there with a couple of people that we know in Interpol, and they're now arrested and serving sentences.
Sounds great.
Yeah, no, and it only took a week.
Well, there's a quick turnover.
Yeah, well, again, we want to get them out of the general population as soon as possible, so they don't start telling people about what they found.
Yeah. So far it sounds like everything went off without a hitch, and everything is fine and perfect forever.
Yeah. I literally just got back yesterday from working with them, and I got to sit there and watch them for a few days, mostly to make sure our head count was correct. Again, we try not to interact with them too much, so we've watched them from afar, which means that we've got to find novel ways of counting them and identifying which ones we've counted without interacting with them.
Yeah.
And that takes ages.
It does.
And yeah, it was just quite nice watching them, because again, they're just very, very peaceful creatures. They're milling around their area and enjoying their life. And luckily, none of them were missing. So...
Perfect.
Yeah. Absolutely stellar end to the end of what could have been quite a nasty job.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert, poachers are not really friendly and agreeable people most of the time.
No. And to be frank, I never like carrying weapons on me at all. I would prefer to never have to. But sometimes in the job you have to. But like I say, it all ended amicably. No one got hurt. The poachers got picked up, and the creatures are all happy, fine, and living healthy.
Best outcome we could have hoped for.
Yeah.
So was there anything you could do to prevent new poachers coming in next week?
Well, we have got the pictures on social media taken down. That's the main part, because pictures on social media and things like that, the information can be geotagged.
Yeah.
That's part of the big problem. I am certain if you went and did a Google search on images, you will find some of those pictures around. But those are copied pictures. They don't have that kind of geolocation tagging. Or at least as far as I'm aware, they don't have that geolocation tagging. That's kind of more the, the IT department. So I'm okay with a computer, but I am certainly no IT wizard. That's literally what they're called. At least that's what I'm campaigning for their new job titles to be, IT wizards.
Slight tangent on that. You know, these people on TikTok and Instagram who look at a picture or a video and then they see, oh, that's a specific stone that only exists in this country, and I've looked at the trees in the background so we can match that to Google Maps from that location. And these people scare us. They don't need geolocation. They find everything, and I don't know how they do it. I'm still convinced there's black magic involved, but they that is very scary for us for obvious reasons.
Yeah. But again, that's what our IT department kind of works on, and they're quite good at somehow changing aspects of like general video. Again, I don't ask. It just happens. But the only other way really to protect these creatures would be to move them from that habitat and then lock down the area.
Yeah.
Which then requires a huge amount more kind of warden presence.
Yeah, it's something we tend to avoid if we can.
Yeah, it's not like some of the other creatures, like very, very early on when you were telling us about the basilisk. But that was more, we can't really leave the basilisk out in the general populace because the basilisk is dangerous to people as well. So it's not in this kind of environment, we can protect them. People, like a large group of wardens, can be assembled from around the world and sent to a location as protection and to handle it and to deal. That's the Makara.
Yeah, sounds great. So, I thought I had a segue there, but I lost it. Well, then without a segue, where do you think people should go to learn more about the Macarena and other mythological dances?
Well, there's a wonderful place, and you don't have to go all the way to Nepal to find it. You can go all the way to your phone to find it, and it's called the Discord.
Wow.
We have our own Discord where
Sounds
people
amazing.
can. Yeah, well, we have our own Discord where people can come and congregate and ask questions and chat and give us ideas for creatures you want to hear about, and start just learning a little bit more about the world that you are not aware exists.
It's my favorite Discord on a Citadel.
We're bringing it back around. Hey, Macarena. Well, but so yes, if you have questions, between me and Chris, we have basically seen every single creature that does exist out there between the two of us at this point. Although, as has been shown in the past, we do occasionally come across creatures we have never seen. And before you ask, yes, the clam, as far as I'm aware, seems to be quite happy and healthy and creating mirages in the middle of the sea.
I love it.
If you are interested in joining us on the Discord, you will find a link in the description. And in the meantime, if you are listening to us, what else can they do to engage with us, Chris?
Well, you can do a lot of things to engage with us, but the most important thing in your life that you can do today is click that 5-star button for our podcast wherever you're listening, because ratings are like little tasty gold nuggets to us, and I'm sure gold is tasty. You should also listen to other episodes. We have a decent backlog at this point, and they don't depend on each other, so just pick a creature that you like and click on it and find out more. And also, you should absolutely subscribe to the podcast, obviously, so you don't miss out on future episodes. And I think that is pretty much everything you can and should do today.
It's absolutely everything you should do today.
Yes, with as many accounts as you have.
Exactly.
But that said, I think we have pretty much arrived at the end of the episode. So thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Bye.